Trump is the kind of man who can make a radical decision, and he will.
Oh, he will. Definitely. And we'll see the Oreshnik bloom, and finally the Poseidon, the Sarmat. Such beauty. You'll finally see how gracefully the Burevestnik flies over the gray expanse of the sea.
Russia is rattling its nukes again. When you can't win on the battlefield, you bluff with Armageddon. The 3-day conquest of Ukraine somehow turned into a 3-year humiliation. China's ghosting their oil deals, and Putin is flexing like it's still the Cold War. I'm Sophia, and this is Spin Snipers, where we turn Kremlin drama into bite-sized reality checks. The US just test-launched a Minuteman 3. No warhead, just a 6,700-kilometer reminder of who is still leading the game. Putin, however, reacted as if Washington had declared World War III, calling an emergency Security Council meeting and talking about adequate response. Ironically, he's the one who started this nuclear flex-off. Not long ago, Donald Trump ordered the Pentagon to resume nuclear testing, a move that followed Putin's own bragging about the Burevestnik missile with a nuclear engine. So now, the man who has been showing off radioactive toys for years suddenly feels threatened. Classic Kremlin logic: provoked, overreact, and then claim to be the victim.
Also, in my address to the Federal Assembly in 2023, I said that if the United States or other states party to the relevant treaty carry out such tests, then Russia will likewise have to take appropriate countermeasures. In this connection, I instruct the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, the special services and civilian agencies to do everything necessary to gather additional information on this matter, to carry out an analysis within the framework of the Security Council, and to submit coordinated proposals on the possible commencement of work to prepare for the testing of nuclear weapons.
Before the US missile launch, Russia's TV talk shows were already celebrating. Washington is terrified. Our Burevestnik and Poseidon are the best weapons in the world. Decision-making centers could be wiped out of the map. That's what Kremlin propagandists screamed, until they saw the US is ready to play hardball too. Now it's hard to tell who is supposed to be scared, Washington or Moscow.
They tell Trump, wait, so much has happened with the Russians. Over the weekend, they launched a new special-purpose submarine, Pokrovsk, the second carrier of Poseidon. We can't do anything about it. Not only can we not intercept it, we can't even identify where the launch came from. In a 500-meter high radioactive tsunami will sweep away all our administrative and political centers on the coast. What are we going to do, Comrade Trump? And there's no answer. For now, they don't know what to do.
What do you mean, what to do? We'll be envious. We'll envy the might of the Russian armament maker.
Looks like the only ones in win military power now are in Moscow, not their own, but America's. After the New Year's missile test, Russia's defense minister rushed to tell Putin they should prepare for their own nuclear tests, because of the US, of course. And to spice things up, he even claimed that the Washington supposedly practiced a nuclear strike on Russian territory. But here is the twist. There is zero evidence of that, just another made-up scary story to keep the Kremlin's narrative alive.
The U.S. Armed Forces, the U.S. Army, plan to field a new medium-range missile system, Dark Eagle, armed with hypersonic missiles and a range of 5,500 kilometers at the end of the current year. It is further envisaged that this system will be deployed in Europe and the Indo-Pacific region. The flight time from Germany, where such a system is planned to be based, to targets in the central part of Russia will be on the order of 6 to 7 minutes.
Meanwhile, in Russia, a quick U-turn. Dmitry Peskov, better known as a Putin's mouse, rushed to clarify. The president didn't actually order nuclear tests, he just asked to assess their feasibility. And of course, Russia is not in an arms race, they're just developing their defense potential. Peskov even reminded everyone that Moscow remains committed to the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, just like it's committed to the Non-Proliferation Treaty after handing over tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus in 2023. Officially, they're still under Russian control, but let's be honest, it's the same nuclear umbrella, just with a different zip code. So if anyone's breaking international law here, it's definitely not Washington. And while Lukashenko waits for his shiny Oreshnik delivery, he's already threatening the West.
Oreshnik is a terrifying weapon. In December it will go on combat duty. For what? I want them to understand that we can strike if things go badly. We'll sit down with Putin, make a decision and strike. So don't provoke us. After all, the war started in Ukraine because of this. In Donbass, Russian speakers were suppressed, killed, poisoned. I saw it with my own eyes.
In Moscow, there seems to be a new strategy. If you can't win on the battlefield, at least make some noise with the nuclear talk. From threats to strike Europe to tales about protecting Russian speakers in Donbass. It's the same old propaganda now coming from the self-proclaimed president of Belarus. All the stories about defending Russian-speaking people hard to listen to, really. In Ukraine, even after 11 years of the war, people can still speak Russian. And guess what? No one's persecuting them, they have that right. But the moment Ukraine, as a state, decided to give Ukrainian language its rightful place, Moscow started screaming about Nazism. Still, that's not the main spin of the week. That one is just an ageless classic for Russia's TV talk shows. The new propaganda hit is about victories on the front line, mainly the Alleged encirclement of Pokrovsk. Even Solovyov went there himself, though he has not shown any footage yet. Maybe he's just afraid the trip won't end well.
Well, right now, many are discussing what's happening in Krasnoarmysk. They call it Pokrovsk. The DIU troops landed there. Screams. Well, they were all taken out. Budanov, together with the madman Zelensky, buried yet another elite unit. Our guys were competing over who could do it faster and better. As for me, I'm curious. I need to understand what's really going on, so I went there myself. I won't show it today, for certain reasons. We always air our reports with a slight delay, just to make sure we don't accidentally cause harm or reveal any sensitive location.
Meanwhile, the fairy tale about the encirclement of Pokrovsk seems to have an audience only in Moscow. The fighting is real, but Ukrainian's army is not giving up its positions. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reports that the defense continues and there are no encircled units or formations.
Measures are underway to block the enemy forces attempting to infiltrate and concentrate in the city of Pokrovsk. Active counteraction continues against attempts by enemy infantry groups to gain a foothold. In Pokrovsk, the defense forces of Ukraine are conducting strike and search operations. In particular, assault units of the 425th Separate Assault Battalion, SBS operators, combined groups of the Special Operations Forces, the Military Law Enforcement Service of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, the National Guard, and the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, DIU, are involved. The military units defending the city have been reinforced. Over the past day alone, in the Pokrovsk area, our soldiers eliminated 26 occupiers and wounded another 64 invaders. A total of 58 enemy infantry shelters in and around the city were destroyed or damaged.
And to clear up Moscow's latest fiction, here is what really happened. On Wednesday, November 5th, soldiers of the Ukraine's 425th Assault Regiment Skala once again raised the Ukrainian flag over the Pokrovsk City Council building. The commander explained that the operation was carried out step by step, first setting up the logistics and then carefully planning the movement routes. The situation in the city remains extremely difficult, but Ukrainian forces continue to hold their ground. Despite spending months trying to advance just as a few dozen kilometers along the front line, Russian propagandists are already setting new goals to capture or destroy Kharkiv and Sumy. By the way, these are the cities where people once widely spoke Russian, the very language Moscow claims to be protecting. But today that language is more likely to trigger disgust than affection after countless missile strikes that Russia clearly has no plans to stop.
We have Sumy, we have Kharkiv. The distances aren't large there. If we want to secure Belgorod, then we need to make it so that everyone leaves Kharkiv. If we want to secure Kursk, the same applies with Sumy. Can this be done not by manpower, but by concentrating firepower? Obviously. Maybe it's time to do that?
At the same time, this Russian propagandist gets very emotional, protesting that he and his colleagues, together with the military leadership, are being accused of wanting to take Kyiv in 3 days. Really? Why would anyone say that? Maybe because back in February 2022, this country with the so-called second largest army in the world lightly proclaimed from every speaker that Kyiv would be taken and destroyed, and that Europe would be next. And guess what? They're still selling the same line, especially about Europe. Have they forgotten already?
They live in some kind of their own image of the world that has nothing to do with reality. For some reason, they think we intended to take Kyiv in 3 days, to conquer the whole of Ukraine, and then move on to Poland. Where did they get that from? The war of the 21st century is about something else. When you have your own population close to 150 million, and on the other side, a country that once had about 40 million, well, let's say now there are 30, even less.
There were 52 million.
At first, there were 52, I mean at the start of the special military operation. And to enter, and then what? What are you going to do with these people and then go on to conquer 500 million Europeans? To do what with them?
And if you really did forget, or just to capture the full absurdity of Russian TV, we had to dig into the archives, the screams, the boasts, the promises to take Kyiv in 3 days. So tell me, who is accusing you of it now? You did that yourself. Stop lying and finally face the bitter truth.
In a hot war, we'll defeat Ukraine in 2 days. Why bother conquering it?
Kyiv will be taken that fast. 1.5 to 3 days.
2 days, then the city falls.
We'll raise an eyebrow, and Ukraine will get the message. We'll take Kyiv.
Ukraine will never be able to fight us. This war will last, Volodya, well, at most 3 to 4 days. There'll be no one left to fight us.
Order from Defense Minister Shoigu, 6 o'clock, wake up 7 o'clock, morning wash, 8 o'clock, breakfast, 9 o'clock, attack on Ukraine, 12 o'clock, lunch, 1300, taking Kyiv, 1800, Gazmanov concert, 2100, fireworks. The only thing missing is the date. Other than that, I think they're not far from the truth.
Apparently, Russia no longer sees much sense in occupying Kyiv or attacking Europe, for that matter. The second strongest army in the world now claims it would crush NATO troops in no time, while Europe and its dissident values could never compare to Russia's so-called spiritual greatness and moral purity. Right, the same moral country that launched a full-scale war against a peaceful neighbor and abducted more than 20,000 Ukrainian children. Yes, abducted, taken away from their homes, from parents still waiting for them, and from those whose parents will never wait again, because Russia's so-called liberators killed them. And while Russian propagandists insist they have no plans to attack anyone, intelligence reports say otherwise. According to US intelligence, Vladimir Putin is now more determined to continue the war than ever before. No talk of peace, no hint of compromise. German intelligence, meanwhile, warns that an attack on Europe could become possible by 2029. Whom to believe, that's up to you. But it's hard to trust those who rewrite their fairy tales on TV every single day.
What does Europe have that we don't? We have more land. Our women are beautiful. What could they possibly have that we don't? Oh, their so-called values? You mean that whole LGBT stuff? We don't need their values even for free. On top of that, they say we're weak, that we're not even worth talking to. So why are they so nervous then? What's with all those drills in the Suwałki Gap and the Germans getting ready to fight? Who exactly are you going to fight? You'll all just perish, and that'll be the end of it.
In Russia, they're still threatening the world with nukes, lying about victories on the front, and now pretending they never wanted to take Kyiv in 3 days. I'm Sofia, and this was Spin Snipers. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and don't fall for the spin.